New York City Mayor Eric Adams' future continues to be in limbo as a federal judge considers whether or not to dismiss charges against him.
So Mayor Adams maintained his innocence when he appeared in court yesterday. Former prosecutor David Schwartz joining us now to share his insight into yesterday's court proceedings and to really take us into the next couple of days and weeks. David, great to see you.
Good to see you.
Judge Ho, poring over the legal briefs, he was measured in his questions to both the prosecution and the defense yesterday. Now says he's not going to shoot from the hip. He wants to take some time over this case. He obviously didn't issue a ruling yesterday. So what can we expect in moving forward?
Well, you know, Judge Ho wanted to do his due diligence in questioning Eric Adams, making sure that it was voluntary, that he was in court, and understood that a dismissal without prejudice means that the prosecutors can bring a case again, although very highly unlikely. So what we're going to expect now is Judge Ho is going to make a thoughtful, written decision. That's what Judge Ho is going to do. He wasn't going to just do it from the bench because of the unusual circumstances involved in the case.
But when you talk about making a very thoughtful decision, does that mean he's literally going to pick apart everything, look through every single file?
No, not at all. But he's going to analyze the arguments that were made in court. Okay. He's going to address all the briefs that were made. And Judge Ho is ultimately going to dismiss this case, but he's going to do it in a way where he's taking into account all the various briefs and the arguments by all the attorneys in court.
So not an overnight decision by any stretch of the imagination.
It's interesting how this all played out yesterday with Emile Beauvais, right? The attorney for the Justice Department told the judge that the charges needed to be filed because it was hindering the mayor's ability to do his job and also to work with the Trump administration on immigration issues. How do you think that actually landed with the judge in terms of consideration here?
Well, you have to take those two arguments globally with everything that's going on. First of all, they did analyze the strength of the case against Adams. And bottom line is, we're talking about upgrades on planes. We're talking about a favor done for the Turkish embassy or consulate when he was borough president. So the prosecutors took into account the strength of the case itself, and then basically analyzed these decisions against a high-profile public figure like Mayor Adams. They're made at Main Justice anyway. The charges were brought in the first place with the approval of Main Justice, and Main Justice has power over the case. And basically, you're going to have a mayor that can't do his job properly based on these types of charges. I think an evaluation was made to drop those charges. And so you have to take those arguments in context with the whole picture.
But it wasn't just one prosecutor who resigned because of this. A number of people resigned. And that didn't come up at all yesterday about the resignations to not drop the charges.
A handful of prosecutors resigned. There's plenty of lawyers to take their jobs. A big deal is being made about all the prosecutors that resigned. When a new administration goes into office, prosecutors resign. This happens all the time. When a new DA,
but this was a Trump appointee.
Excuse me, what's that?
Danielle Sassoon was a Trump appointee.
That's okay, and Danielle Sassoon did what she felt was right in the case, and it should be honored what she did. But bottom line is, if Main Justice doesn't want to go forward with charges, and these charges were ridiculous charges. They were absolutely, to indict a mayor of the city of New York, first time a mayor has ever been indicted. There wasn't gold bars in his refrigerator like the Menendez. This wasn't anywhere near the Menendez case. And to make a decision to indict him based on upgrades on flights and a favor for the Turkish consulate where you can't even make out a quid pro quo, these were ridiculous charges in the first place. And that was the evaluation. And I don't know too many attorneys that think that these were legitimate charges.
But this whole thing is unprecedented. Right. So Judge Ho obviously under a lot of pressure. Yep. Do you feel that he might appoint a special prosecutor in this case?
I don't think so. The prosecutors, the Department of Justice has discretion over whether to prosecute Eric Adams. There's no reason to appoint a special prosecutor. I don't think that's what the judge is going to do. Although the judge does have power to do that, I believe the judge is going to make a thoughtful, written decision, taking into account all the various arguments, but also giving deference to the Justice Department in their discretion as to whether or not to prosecute.
A couple of things about the charges of the charges. But what was interesting yesterday was that quid pro quo did come up. and whether or not there was a quid pro quo. And the prosecution didn't say there wasn't. They just said even if there was, you would still have to drop the case. So they didn't deny that there was a quid pro quo. Danielle Sassoon in her letter said that that's the reason she didn't want to drop it was because of a quid pro quo. What did you make of that exchange yesterday?
Right. So now we're talking about the quid pro quo between the Department of Justice, the alleged quid pro quo, that for them to drop the charges, Eric Adams will have to listen to Donald Trump and his immigration policies. That quid pro quo, as opposed to the quid pro quo in the case itself. Clearly, there are officers of the court. Beauvais is an officer of the court, and they deny any type of quid pro quo. This idea that Eric Adams, that he may be removed because somehow he's cooperating with the President of the United States in an immigration policy which is broken, which most people agree is completely broken, is ridiculous. So whether or not there was a quid pro quo, we'll drop the charges if you do whatever Trump wants you to do. That was not established in court yesterday. Everybody that was at that meeting denied that happening, and they're officers of the court, and there must be discretion. You can't allege a quid pro quo based on hypothesis and speculation. There has to be real evidence of that. And deals are made all the time with prosecutors anyway, which is a whole other issue.
So based on what was presented yesterday, and you said that this is going to be a thoughtful decision, where do you think that this is going to go?
The case will be dismissed without prejudice, and the Justice Department will not bring charges against Eric Adams again.
Why not do it with prejudice? That was question. The mayor was questioning that yesterday, saying why not fight for this to be with prejudice, meaning the charges can't come back?
Right, because I think the mayor, from his point of view, is making a calculation that there is a 99% chance that these charges will never come back. So the idea that they're dismissing it without prejudice, they're just dropping the case for right now so the mayor can do his job. I think the mayor and his defense team made that type of calculation, and it wasn't something that they wanted to fight for.
All right. David Schwartz, thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you.